Dear students, welcome to the knowledge series. Here we are going to discuss with respect to the RTOS on mutex and semaphore. Before we talk about mutex and semaphore under the RTOS, let's take certain terms and understand what exactly it means. Concurrency. Concurrency, basically it is the act of managing and running multiple computations at the same time. So for example, eating and speaking. The two things cannot take place at the same instant. Either you have to switch over while eating and speaking. And there is another term is called as a parallelisms. It is the act of running multiple computations simultaneously. So here, if you take an example, sing and dance can take place at the same time. So concurrency and parallelism is considered as one of the term with respect to this mutex and semaphore. Now, why we need to consider this particular term? Because concurrency exists when a two or a more process execute over the same time. If a two process, here you can try to see that there is a given task, is that one task, and this task is sharing a data, this task is sharing a data. So here it is how to serialize the access to a shared data. Say for example, this is a student and two person is talking to the to a student. So in that case, the students will not able to understand because that students has to listen to one person, and after that it has to listen to the next person. So that is what means with respect to the concurrency. So the concurrency exists when a two or a more process execute over the same time a period, and it potentially interact with one another. So not only it has to execute at the same time period, but potentially it has to interact with one another. And the main reason of concurrency in operating system is basically how to access the global data or how to share the resources. So that's why this is one of the problem in the concurrency. And concurrency problem is basically with respect to sharing the global resources and how to allocate the particular resource and how to do a particular method or a particular program so that these particular concurrency problems can be resolved. So that's why here this particular semaphore as well as mutex is being shown together. Or in another word, we can say that, for example, in the message passing technique, as I have shown with respect to the task 1 and task 2 here, this is a message passing technique. How this concurrency with respect to a multiple process or a multiple task, if it is able to do at the same instant, how it has to carry out. So that is what we means a concurrent programming. So it has to go either in the shared memory method or in the message passing methods. So that's why here the semaphore and mutex semaphore and mutex is considered as the components that allows the shared resources to exchange the activities between the two set of with the common resource. That is a common resource point or the common point that is going to access the multiple resource. How that particular common point is going to access the multiple resource, that is what we are going to see in the case of a mutex and resource. So let us see this particular relations between the process and the resource, or a number of resource with the common process, how it can able to task perform, or a common resource between the multiple process, how it can able to avoid the deadlock situations. So we see this particular terms mutex and semaphore here. So what semaphore means? Semaphore is basically typically a integer variables, this one, and mutex is basically an object. So that is what exactly it means with respect to the semaphore. But the correct use of a semaphore is actually is for a signaling of one task to another. On the other hand, the mutex is basically it is with respect to the release of a key. So that is a release of a particular resources. So that is what with respect to the mutex and the semaphore we distinguish. So let's go further with respect to this figure and see what exactly it talks about. Now here, if you try to see this first figure, there are the task is being shared to the common source. This task is given to this common. Let us take that the CPU is this one. This task is also given to the common CPU, or this task is shared by the common source, and this task is also shared by the common source. So how it is going to access these particular situations? Because there is always a confusion between the terminology of the mutex and semaphore. The main reason is that semaphore is having has a different meaning depending on the context of the mutex. So here we are going to discuss with respect to the concept and as well as the usage level. So that is what we are going to see. But as per the first figure, how the serially we can access the shared data by the given two task, that is given by the two process. So here the data is shared with respect to the two tasks, and in order to keep the data in a consistent state, we need to protect the concurrent that concurrence or a concurrency situations or a concurrent access. So if this data can be not be there in the concurrent access, so we can access the data in the serial case. So the data, once the data is accessed in the serial situation, then once this data access, then followed by this, the next data will be accessed. Now we go to the next figure. What happened if this is a task 1 and a task 2, or we can say producer and a consumer. How we can come to a situation? How does a consumer know that this data is available? And that's how there will not be this particular concurrent issues we can able to avoid. So under this particular case, we have to go for a task synchronizations between the producer and consumer. Now, how this producer and consumer can go for a task synchronization? That is possible if we can create a one interrupt service routing or ISR situation. That means once the producer try to put the data, and once this buffer is full, then it will try to interrupt the consumer, and that thereby the consumer will try to recover that particular data and will try to read it or use it. So this is a pipe of a task, that means output of one task to the input of a next task. So for this one we should have a separate flag, and here we should have a separate flag. Followed by there should be one ISR should be exist. So that is known as the case with respect to the second situations, what we shown here. Now we go to the another area is with respect to this figure. that figure is talks with respect to the mutex, and I have stated it that mutex means mutually exclusions. That means when a system is there in the critical sections, at that instant only one task can enter. The other task will be will not permit to enter into that critical section. It will be in the waiting conditions. That is what exactly it means with respect to the task here. Now here, when we talk about a task, one has to understand that the when this task is in this function A, it is permitted to enter into this critical section. At that time, it is having a mutual exclusions with respect to the next task, stating that this particular once that particular task is executed out of this one, at that time this task second task is going to enter into task 1. So that is what we termed here. Now here you can see two operations is there, acquire and release. Now that is what I have shown here. Now acquire mutex as well as a release mutex. Acquire mutex is once this one is task, this task is entering to the critical sections, that is known as acquire. So under that particular case, it is inside the critical section, or it is in the it is in the sleep mode for the other task to go. That means if a task if this a function A is here, then the function B will go to the sleep mode, so that, or in the waiting mode. Now once this task A is over, it will come out. At that time it will permit that task or a function B to enter, or that is in the it will release the task B to go from a sleep mode to the critical sections. So this is the possibility in the case of a mutex scenario. That is by, or you can put it like a locking mechanisms that makes one thread or one task to acquire the mutex at a time by entering into critical sections. Now we go to the next figure is with respect to the semaphore. In the case of a semaphore, you can see this one. This is the same figure like a producer and consumer it is showing. It is writing to a data and it is reading. But between the producer and semaphore, we are using a signaling mechanism. Now semaphore, the particular terms of a semaphore, the sema means it is a sign or a signal, and phore means it is carrier. So it carries the signals. So that is the what semaphore carries the signal from the producer to consumer. So based on the signaling, the consumer will know that if producer is writing a data, at that time consumer will be in the sleep mode, and once this data is filled up, this producer will signal to the consumer to start reading the data. So reading the data or writing the data, any one event will take place, and that event will be take place inside the critical section. So that is what we talk with respect to the semaphore situations for your understanding. Now we let us see the some of the type of the semaphore. Now before we talk about the type of the semaphore, some more point about this semaphore characteristic one should know is that in these mechanisms the synchronizations of the task need to provide. That is what been carried here, synchronizations. And basically in the case of a semaphore, as I have stated that it is basically integer variables. So that's why the implementations of the semaphore to implement the operations and the interrupt flags, that should be executed in the way how we can able to perform the clear-cut synchronizations between the number of task holders or number of users using the same resources. So that's how it has to be properly programmed to execute. So that's why you can, in the case of a semaphore, we always go with the signaling mechanism. And in the signaling mechanism, we are using two things. One is wait, another is nothing but a signal. So wait, we always take into considerations, it should go into the condition like semaphore is less than equal to 0 in these conditions. And when you go for a signaling case, semaphore is always incremented. So we define in terms of a semaphore as a S++. So these type of two atomic operations, that is a wait and a signal, has to followed by the semaphore for a process synchronizations. That is very important. And moreover, as a semaphore is basically used for signaling mechanisms, and in that case the thread that is or the task that is waiting here, just like it is being shown as a waiting on a semaphore, under that case the another task will be getting a signaling from the previous task. So you can find that here mutex and the semaphore, they are two different things. They are not alike, but they are considered as two different components. So if you try to look for the actual difference between the semaphore and the mutex, one can find that semaphore is basically a threads that will go into a lock and the unlock situations. But when you talk about a semaphore, mutex will go for a lock and unlock situations, but when you talk about a semaphore, it will go on a signal and the wait modes. That is one of the important component. Another part is that mutex will go for a locking mechanism, semaphore will go for a signaling mechanisms. So keeping those things in the mind, let us see the next part, because semaphore always go for a two type of the signaling mechanisms. So one, as you can see here, the semaphore is having a counting semaphore and the binary semaphore. These are the two type of a semaphore you can try to see. In the case of a counting semaphore, you can see that that is a integer type of a semaphore. Here you can see in the counting semaphore is a integer type of a semaphore, and that has having a unrestricted value domains. That is what we can see in this case of a semaphore. You can and you can see here that if the initial count is greater than 0, then that particular resource or the particular resource is being available for the one which is waiting in the queue. And if suppose the initial count is 0, that is available for that particular process that is waiting in the queue access that resource. So here we have to take into considerations, if it is a count 0, it will not, it is unavailable, and once this the one who has the process which is occupied by the process which occupy that resource, if it at that particular instant the count is greater than 0, so after it releases that count, then this count become 1. Then in that case this process will be acquiring the resource. That means in the count 0, no resource access. When the count becomes 1, the resource can be accessed. That is what here it talks about the counting semaphore. I repeat again, that means if the initial count is 0, the counting semaphore will create a unavailable state. But if the count is greater than 0, semaphore is created an available state, and in that case number of tokens and that is equal to its count will keep on either incrementing as a plus 1 or a minus 1. If it is a plus 1, count is plus 1, it is released, and if it is minus 1, it is acquired. So that is what it talks with respect to. So if it is 1 here, so 1 plus 1 plus 1, it is released. So initial state 0. If it is 0 plus 1, it is 1 means it has gone to available state. So if it is 1, then that 1 minus 1, 0. So the that means it will not be available. That means if the one which has was available, it has made it available, and one which was available, it has gone, it becomes unavailable. That is known as a counting semaphore. And these semaphores are used for coordinating the resource access, where the semaphore count is having a number of available resources in these particular situations. Now when you go to the binary semaphore is somehow similar to like a counting semaphore, but the value is restricted to 0 and 1. Now here, if you see in this condition and in this type of semaphore, the wait operations work when semaphore is in the 1 state, and the signal operations will succeed when the semaphore goes to the 0. That means when this semaphore is in the 0 state, it indicates that it is going to be in the unavailable state, and here it is showing available state. Now what is the difference in this scenario? When we initialize this one 0, the priority state 1 will be having a available, but non-priority 1, or the one which is looking for the access of the resource, it will be put under the unavailable state, because it is in that conditions, in the 0 state, the one which is having a priority, it will be able to access, and one which is in the 1 state, it will not able to access. So that is what 0 is nothing but a release, and here, and here 1 is nothing but this is a acquire, the release state, and the 0 is nothing but acquire state, and here release nothing but it is becomes unavailable state. So when it is in the unavailable state, that means the second resource, the second process will come to available state, and which was running here, it will go to the unavailable state. So that is a release, and acquire is being. So this is going to acquire, this is going to release. That is what being stated. So in the binary semaphore, it is just like a counting semaphore, but what I stated is that it restricts between 0 or 1. And here the wait operations is for the one case, and access is for the 0 operations. So that is what one has to understand between the semaphore and the mutex. And here in the previous case, binary and the counting semaphore. Now here one more point I just want to say is that when we put under the case of a mutex and a semaphore, both appear to be 1, but the condition is that here we go with the counting mechanism, here we go with the logical conditions. Now we go to the next point is that the multiple task waiting semaphore. In the multiple task waiting semaphore, what exactly is that? This is basically used for the operating systems where we are looking for a fast operating systems. So micro C operating systems, that makes the high priority task waiting on a semaphore for ready to run. So there are various task is being given. So you can see that this particular statement is that OSM post OS SEM post is broadcasting or when a particular task is broadcasting that particular uh, uh, call for acquiring the particular resources. That is what it is being stated. When a semaphore try to signal under the case of a micro C in the high priority task for a semaphore to run under that particular case, the various signaling mechanism will be taking place. In this particular condition, OS SEM post, that OS SEM post will try to call, and based on the one which is waiting, whether it is a high priority case or a low priority case, under that conditions the task which is having a high priority, under the case of ISR, it will be given the first preference, and that's how the signaling mechanism of a semaphore follows. Here you can see the OS OPT post all the options when calling for the OSM post, and in this particular it execute the high priority task ready for the OM. That high priority task in the case of a semaphore under the micro C, it will try to overrule the mutex and semaphore for accessing the particular resource. So broadcasting, if you see, it is a common technique in the case of a multiple task synchronizations for executing at the same time. However, some of the tasks you can see over here, they want to synchronize, but that is not possible because they have to wait for accessing the resource. So it is fair to combine the semaphore with the various event flags. So this will try to see that a multiple task can execute in a very short interval of a time, and that's how the CPU system will try to or the operating systems, which is a fast executions with the multiple task, will try to switch over the flag in such a way that every task will be getting, but the high priority task under the ISR will be given the more preference. So that's what we talk with respect to the case with respect to the multiple task of the semaphore. Now here one important things you have to understand that the semaphore has an advantage that it tries to give a preference to everyone, to every task to follow the critical section as per the integer variable, and that's how the multiple process do not stay in the critical section for a longer period, and there is a flexible management of the resources, and every machine's every task find that because the waiting time of the semaphore in this particular scenario seems to be very low, so that's why the systems perform in a much faster basis, just like the kernel that is used for the semaphore under this particular segment operates under the microkernel modes. That gives them many advantages, but the one of the disadvantage in this particular case is that semaphore tries to see that the multiple task that it tries to access the particular resources under the certain case, it will not find that the resource because of the complexity of the resources or the high priority or the low priority of the resource, there are chances that the accessibility of the critical sections may cause the low priority task to stay for a longer period. Thereby, it goes to starvation mode. So this is one of the drawback of the semaphore one need to look into. Moreover, the program error may also rise because of the mutual exclusions or the signaling and the waiting sequence that is being followed in the case of a complex task to run under the semaphore mode of operations. So this is what we have seen in the case of the semaphore and as well as in the mutex. Now we before we go to the next point of our discussions, here one more point is that I just let me summarize this one, is that semaphore and is basically a non-negative negative variables and that share between the tasks, and its basic mechanism is for synchronizing the task. And a semaphore is two types, by counting and as well as the binary semaphore. Counting semaphore, it counts the various tasks number of times based on the count event, and binary semaphore, it goes with the like with respect to 0 and 1 conditions. And counting semaphore is has no mutual exclusions, whereas binary semaphore is having a mutual exclusions. And the semaphore as compared with respect to the mutex is that semaphore is basically used for the signaling mechanism, and the mutex is basically for the locking mechanisms. That's how the semaphore and the mutex, how we can see in the operating system, also performs in the case of a real-time operating systems also. Now we go to the final discussions of RTOS. In the case of RTOS as control systems, as you can see that RTOS control system, it is used for the multi-thread multitasking operations, or a where multitasking and one thread is used, or a multitasking where a multiple thread is being used. So that is how this particular real-time operating systems is being performing. So I have thread is a smaller process. That is what I have shared in the earlier point of discussions. So here you see that a real-time operating system is shown, and here we have what you are seeing in this particular case is nothing but sensors as well as the actuator, where we try to give the input sensor point as well as the output actuator point, and that is what we have shown over here. And in the real-time operating system, the sensor is being sensing the physical parameter. It is being fed to the input, and in the actuator, which is finally is going to respond based on the control actions given by the real-time systems. So that's how this is being shown over here, where you can try to see this one. A real-time operating systems is basically used for measuring the real-time applications. Assume that we are processing through the computer in the real-time application. So the signal which is being sensed by the real-time conditions, that is being given to the systems, where the digital signal is converted to the analog based on the D2A conversions, and it allows the actuator to execute the output based on a given process, and the output parameter is being sensed by the sensor. It is being converted into a digital forms, that is analog to digital conditions. So that's how the signal can be tried to give it to the computer system. So you can try to see this one. Digital to analog conversion is taking place here for the actuator to actuate, and here for processing the real-time instances, and how the real-time instances is being followed, that is being done. So this is the real-time computer systems, where you can try to see that the real-time application system is going to perform based on the figure you can try to see in these particular sections, where you can see that every sections is being referred with respect to the various algorithms, and that algorithms performance is being shown with respect to the output requirements or the output components needs. So in these particular sections, inter-process communications is actually taking place. So the inter-process communications, once it take place, the signaling, all these control actions that take place under the algorithms, that is being defined across this particular section. So with respect to the control actions in the real-time systems, basically it prevents the digital control over the computer control systems for practical applications. Now and moreover, the systems, the real-time computer system try to run the algorithm, which is a high-level functions, and high-level algorithm is what defined across this one. So all this sensing which is being taken from the input, it is passed through the real-time applications, and under the real-time applications, the data acquisitions, control law calculations, actuations, database update, all these things take place at a very fast instance. Another point you have to note that input, which is input and the feedback from the output. So this is your output. From the output, it is again taken back as an input. So whether A to D or a D to conversions lead to an error differences. And if these error differences, if it is restricted to a certain length, it is being calculated. And you can see a digital signal UK over here. Digital, that is the digital signal UK, which is specified over here, and that given as an input to the D to A converters. So that is what being shown with respect to this signal, and this U of K is generated by D to A is a time domain, and in the time domain it is performing with respect to U of T to the actuator, and the actuator is given the process to deliver. And another point is that in the digital control systems, you can try to see that normally it is here the sampling is going on. There is a uniform and a periodic and a synchronous system performance is being measured, and the computational time you can is based on the algorithm. You can see that UK is equal to F of YK of RK, where YK is basically a feedback. That is what you can see here. This is the feedback which is shown over here. And what is RK? RK is nothing but the control level values. So that is what been shown with respect to this one. So the entire real-time computer systems, as I have discussed in the very earlier point of discussion, is that the real-time clock will be there, real-time computing will be there, real-time form of the locating of the parameters from the point where the particular signal is being sensed. All these things is parameters related to this one. Now another point we have to state with respect to this control system is that in this control system, if you go across the structures, let us see the structures with respect to the real-time systems. In this one, it is connected to the A and D, and it is connected to the D and A converter, basically for the real-time systems. And if the plant is slow, then the real time will have no problem, because a slow control system will not need to have a hard real time requirement. But if you talk about a performance, a real time systems cannot 100% guarantee that there will not be a hardware or a software failure will not occur. So that is another some of the parameters one has to do. And a real time in a digital control systems, it will able to produce a better performance, but it will not guarantee that a system failure also. And real time programming, the coding, its editing, its priority interrupt driven, and how it is going, how the driver is going to access, how the driver is going to wait, and how the device driver is performing with the real time or with the non-real time, it all depend upon the applications. So a real time computing or a control system is basically a vast field, and it needs to understand that the correctness of the real results not only depend on the logical correctness of the systems, but also depend upon the data that is available from the environment. So that's how the real-time system is being performing. So here, if it is a multiple task or a multiple so then there are chances that it will try to create the complexity. Then if it is a if the computing device or the CPU or the operating system that is running with that CPU, if it is not able to carry out the multiple tasks, there are chances that it may try to hang up. So that's why these are the challenges that has to be taken into considerations while designing the real-time operating systems. However, the real-time operating systems is an independent body of the operating system that try to integrate with the general systems to see that a normal operating systems, as we have discussed with respect to the real-time operating system, try to take into account for the faster executions. So with this, I conclude with respect to the real-time operating systems. Thank you.